In these verses, we get a kind of a litany of descriptors of Jesus. Just like bam, 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 bam. It's kind of an overwhelming vision. And in each one of these, you'll notice that John uses this phrase like or as. Like it was like this or it was as this. It's kind of him putting into words what he's seen, which is hard when that's an overwhelming thing. And in classic Revelation literary style, there's 7 descriptors of Jesus in just these few verses. And these 7 are arranged on purpose. There's 7 of them, and they're arranged so that they start from the outside and work their way in. I think we got this on the screen. So you can kind of see these 7: hair, eyes, feet, voice, hand, mouth, face. And if you were to lay these out in what's called a chiastic structure, which is maybe more than you bargained for this morning, but the idea is that the first and the last work together, then the second and the sixth, the third and the fifth, but the fourth is really the center. And the fourth is what he wants you to see, what he wants you to understand. This is the most important. This is what you need to get. And so just briefly, let's just walk through this depiction of Jesus. The first thing that we encounter is his hair. And his hair is like dazzling wool. This is a direct image drawn from that same vision in Daniel 7. Only the important thing to get is in Daniel 7, the Ancient of Days, God himself, has hair white as wool. And yet here, what do we find is that Jesus has hair white as wool. Meaning that Jesus, he wants you to think, has the same hair as God himself. Meaning that he is equal to him. He has the same nature as him, the same power as him, the same authority as him. Jesus is equal to the Ancient of Days, God himself. Then we encounter his eyes that are fiery flames. He can see through the illusions. His eyes purify. They burn through all the pretense. He sees what's really going on. Nothing escapes his vision. His vision is on fire. Third, then we encounter his feet. And his feet are described like fine bronze fired in a furnace. This is another direct reference to Daniel, only this time Daniel chapter 2. In Daniel 2, King Nebuchadnezzar, who is the most powerful king of that era, led a huge empire that oppressed the people of Israel. He has a dream. And in this dream, he sees a statue. And the statue is made up of different kinds of metals, beginning with the head and all the way down to the feet. And as he works its way down in the dream, the metal becomes less and less strong until you get to the feet. And the feet in his dream are a mix of like iron and clay, real easy to fall apart. And in the dream, we learn in Daniel that this pictures the kingdoms of history, the kingdoms of human energy. And what we find here in Revelation is that Jesus' feet are made of bronze fired in a furnace. That's strong. That is pure. That's not going anywhere. What the image would tell us is that the kingdoms of the earth will rise and fall, but Jesus' kingdom is firmly established forever. It is not under threat. It will not be shaken. The kingdom of Rome will fall. Every earthly kingdom will rise and fall, but only Jesus' kingdom stands forever. In the middle, we meet the voice, and the voice cascades like water. In the book of Ezekiel, the glory of God is depicted as coming from the east and returning to the temple. And what Ezekiel describes is the sound like rushing waters through the promised land. What do we have here? Jesus, his voice sounds like cascading waters. The glory of God has returned in the Word incarnate, Jesus himself, who now speaks the truth of God and reveals the truth of God to us. And so you want to know what God says? You want to know what God wants? It's in Jesus and in his voice. His voice speaks with the power and presence of God. In his right hand, he holds 7 stars. We learn in a few verses that on the surface, these represent the 7 churches, or the 7 angels of the 7 churches, meaning that the churches are held closely in Jesus' hand. But in their world, there was a common Greek goddess who is depicted as holding 7 stars in her hand. And in their understanding of the universe, there were 7 planets. And so those stars also represent 7 planets. That Greek goddess, in essence, the image was that she holds the cosmos in her hand. And so we find in Revelation a counter image, a challenging image. Who is Jesus? Jesus is the one who holds both the church and the cosmos in his hand. There is nothing that is outside of his command, both the church and the universe. His mouth wields a double-edged sword. That is a terrible place to wield a sword. Just picture that. Jesus is going in, like if you went into a battle and you're like, all right, guys, I'm ready to go, and you put this sword in your mouth, everyone will look at you like you're an idiot. Like you're going to hurt yourself before you hurt anyone else. That's not a good place to hold a sword. Unless your power is in your words, not your weapons. Right? Like what is it that how does Jesus exert his power? How does Jesus exert his authority? Not with swords, but with truth. He does not use the weapons of Rome. He uses his voice, his word, which created all things. His word, which cuts through joint and marrow, revealing the intentions of our hearts. His word is his weapon. And so his mouth wields a double-edged sword. Then lastly, his face shines like the sun. In Exodus, there's a scene where Moses wants to see God's glory. And God says, you can't. No one can see my glory and live. And so God hides Moses in the cleft of a rock, and his glory passes by. And just that is enough that Moses' face shines for weeks. Later on, God instructs the priest to bless the people with this prayer. He says, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. In other words, in Revelation, that prayer is coming true. You're seeing the face of God in the person of Jesus. You're receiving the grace of God in the person of Jesus. God has shined his face upon you, and that face is Jesus who now stands before you. You see, this image is a Jesus who encompasses the entire biblical story, the entire biblical hope, the entire point and purpose of the mission of God finds its center and its fulfillment in Jesus. All God's power, all God's authority, all God's will now rests in him.